Hello, my name is Koray Tuğberk and I am the owner and founder of Holistic SEO and Digital. In this video, I will be demonstrating to you a Holistic SEO case study and tutorial step by step. So we will see many practical things in this video. I won't be diving that much to the patterns or the theoretical sections, but you will be seeing that why every pixel, every letter, or every millisecond and every user feedback or user data or user behavior actually matter for the SEO. If you want to be an holistic SEO or if you want to actually implement the holistic SEO, you should be a little paranoid about the SEO. It is like SEO for SEO before the money. And of course, eventually it makes money too. And the real world SEO case study that I will be using for explaining the holistic SEO mindset step by step, actually it is from, let's say, it's from 15 months ago, because for the last 15-16 months I am managing this project and I can tell that actually it goes really well. Maybe even more than actually 15 months, maybe even 18 or 19 months. I don't remember the exact date, but I believe it's really long time I am managing the project. And when I first started to this project, it was taking only like, I don't know, probably it was taking like only 200 clicks a day, and right now it is actually taking more than 15,000 clicks a day averagely, because we also leverage always the trending SEO events or trending user behaviors with trend-worthy entities or news-worthy topics. So you see the actual updated results here. It is coming to the 500,000 according to the SEMrush, but the actual number, as I said, is actually higher than this. And another section here is that, by the way, this SEO case study, it will be used especially for explaining how to expand a topical map. Because when I started this case study, website actually was really new, so actually brand new. But when it comes to the expanding the business, because after we dominated the energy industry and electric prices, or let's say electricity bill or electricity supplier change type of things, once we dominated that niche, the company decided to go for credit and insurance. So you all know that these industries are actually highly competitive, and in this case, to be able to be another main competitor in the area, there are some important steps that I am implementing, and I will be explaining some of them in this video, but all of them, or let's say the most important parts of them, they will be explained in the how to expand a topical map over an existing website section. But the key point there is actually protecting the brand identity. So it is not just about opening a new subfolder. You have to connect the new topic to the old topic via your brand. So usually SEOs, they miss the source attribute, because on the web we nearly have billions of websites, and every day 252,000 of new websites are opened. So AI is already bloating the web, and that's why even if you have the really quality content, I can tell everyone has that. The main attribute of a content comes from the source. If the source is authority, if the source is quality, the words from the source will be more actually meaningful. So to be able to expand the topical map, first you should connect your source attribute to the topic, then the new topic should be connected to the old topics. With that said, these are the overall results. You can see the query rankings in this area, and this means actually insurance in Turkish, and this is the initial results for the insurance industry, and these are the credit industry results initially. So most of these topical maps, they are not completed yet. I can tell only 20% of the topical maps are actually completed, so topical coverage is really low, and it will be very much higher. And the backlinks are not used for this project, by the way. At the beginning, for the electricity or the main niche, let's say, we have used digital PR, but for these two, no, it's just passive, and you can see authority score or backlinks in this area for this main page in this section. If I go to the hrefs in this area, you will see that actually the website even has lost some of the broad core algorithm updates. And we will come there too while I'm actually explaining the past of this project, because there are side migrations here. Anything that you can imagine, it happened. And we have lost all of the improvements and etc. But basically, as I always tell to you, if we create a proper semantic content network, website eventually will continue to thrive. Even if you lose a couple of broad core algorithm updates, it will be coming back. In fact, in my YouTube channel, actually, I have published a couple of videos about it so that some SEO consultants, they can actually explain these type of things to their own clients, and they can actually gain some further time. And I don't remember which one exactly was that. I guess it was this. The website in this video, it is actually from the topical authority SEO case study, and I have actually published this case study around this area. So when you are actually shocked with the rankings without backlinks, it was in this area from 0 to the 15,000 clicks a day. Then I have actually doubled it nearly. Then I lost it. Then we have even tripled it. So my point here is that do not scared. As long as you are actually improving your website, eventually it will be showing its results. If you create a proper topical map and a proper semantic content network, search engine will eventually get these connections from you, and they will be starting ranking you even further and further. So I believe this example here, it is a good example, and you can watch this video too. I guess it's just 6 months. I feel like I published this way much before. Anyway, the managing an agency, it every minute, every day, every month is really intense. So you can check this, and I believe it will be helping for you. So if I come back this area, we have regained all of the lost traffic as I expected. And if I come to this section, this is for insurance results initially, and these are the initial results for the credit industry right now here. And as you see, there is not that much referring domains or something here. I didn't create these, by the way. You can check this if you want. And this is the traffic value according to the Ahrefs. Okay, so since I explained these areas, I said before that all these videos that I am publishing, they're actually for preparing you to my Semantic SEO course. And when I publish the course, I won't be giving the website name from my socials. I might not even announce it. So I like this type of marketing strategies a little. So I can even actually use, I don't know, maybe I can even just accept the first 100 persons. So I'm serious about this type of things. And to be honest, if you want to just see it directly, just subscribe to this newsletter. I will be putting the link to the description or the comment area. And with that said, this case that actually have been published with the authorities before. This is the website name. You can check it. Everything is open and everything is nakedly published here. The main thing here is I already updated the case study 3 times, and then I updated it 4th time too. But the authorities, the owner, Lawrence, a really loud person, he told me that actually he will be able to update the article later, because he is already shocked, because whenever I update the case study, it is like doubling the traffic. And since I also collect all the case studies that I published before to do my own website, I can tell that we will be able to actually follow these things from this area. Probably I will be putting the updated results to the top so that it can be more relevant to the reader, because as you know, most people won't go to these areas. But we will be following these things actually from the updated version. With that said, before going further, I will suggest you to actually check these articles too. So I said that I am using the trend-worthy events a lot in internal links, in new web page creations, or also topical map creations as well. So if you want to understand why the trending events are important, watch this video. And the video that just here, this is the second version of the same case study, and it explains the search engine trust and historical data concepts. The jump in this area is the jump in this area. The second jump is actually nearly over 3 times bigger than that. And if you watch these two, you can understand the trending events importance and historical data's contribution for the search engine trust. This is the latest video that I published. Again, as you see, we lost. I started here to the project and I gained many core algorithm updates, then I lost. And then I actually used topical consolidation and topical gap concepts to fix the website again, and it is here. And as I say, most of these case study publications, it represents a switch for me. So most probably I won't be updating these case studies again. I will be publishing some books, then I will move on to the next step, which is owning revenues, equities, and creating my own projects mainly. And most probably my agency, yes, I will continue to manage my agency, but I want to change my focus, or some, let's say after the course as well, I will be focusing on some other areas as much as possible, and that's why I wanted to actually publish these things as a memoir for me and help for you. So I believe, yeah, this one too. This one here is also important, because in this one I am explaining actually how to exceed the quality thresholds to take traffic from even the highest ranking websites like WebMD, Healthline or Mayo Clinic. And with this website I used only 27 articles, and this is the 3 weeks later than that, and the website right now it is nearly same actually. So this is the updated graphic. I said in that video that this website actually would lose the traffic, but it didn't lose, because it won the core algorithm update. It won the core algorithm update, but since the website is passive because it didn't get the investment, it will be losing the traffic. And then probably I will be explaining the website name, and I will be showing the articles, or I even have the recordings about my revision methodologies. Maybe I can put them into the course, I don't know. But I will definitely put the complete topical map design to the course as well. Probably after the initial bite-sized modules, there will be advanced modules. So in these advanced modules, probably these will also be there. So with all these tabs, I believe I processed and made a beginning here in 10 minutes, sorry. And let's go to this area and start from the beginning. So this website here, njazib.com, my first step for the case study or this project is actually making it an entity. I don't rank websites, I rank brands. And if the website doesn't represent a brand, I create a brand. So being an SEO consultant is not just about rankings. You should be behaving like an SEO vice president. In other words, you have to redesign the company. You need to actually give it a structure. You need to coach the people. You need to train the people. You need to convince the people. If you're able to do these things, believe me, actually you are a good SEO consultant and you won't fail. Sometimes I can tell that the clients, they are like little babies and you need to be at their babysitters, digital babysitters. Sometimes I call myself in this way, but you have to do it. And if you have enough information, it won't be that much hard, but you might feel tired since you will need to talk a lot. So once I started the project, actually I can tell that these are some of the results, and this is my motto. I have many SEO mottos, like think like SEO, code like developer, change SEO culture, or every pixel, millisecond, byte, letter, and user matter for the SEO. Because at the end of the day, website, it has these components. It has pixels, milliseconds. Basically, we have the milliseconds while using it, but it has bytes and it has letters. So we have to optimize all these things. And the user section here, it actually represents the historical data or user behaviors with the historical data. And if I come to this bottom area, you can see some other initial results and some other initial results in this area. You can realize that how small the traffic was at the beginning section when I published the case study, and these are some of the increases or increase graphs again. And in this area I explain the background of the case study, and here I have a code testimonial from the owner of the company, a person that I highly respect, and I can even tell that he is a kind of mentor to me right now. But this is one of the things actually, that's why I also like the SEO consultancy, because I know many really good people, talented people. And there are many other names here. You can check them later too in the project. And these are some other results. So let's start to the steps. So practical suggestions I will be giving directly. And I won't be reading that much patterns or this type of things in this video. So let's start. First of all, you have to understand this concept. Okay, this concept actually, it is coming from the Google developers. And Google developers, they use these things like or Rail abbreviation to explain how the browser works when you actually interact with any kinds of web page component. First thing is giving a response, then animating, which means actually changing the pixels, then there will be an idle time, then it will be loading. So they call it actually Rail. And this Rail concept, it actually explains all of the optimization steps. And according to the Adi Osmani, actually we have only, I can tell that we only have like 13 milliseconds to move a pixel. Because even if actually you click or you do something, basically until the website actually give a response, animate things, or there is a load event or idle time, etc., the time that the browser can actually find, the biggest time span there, it will be 13 seconds. Here actually it says 16, but I can tell that actually this is a little optimistic. Let's say you should accept the 13 seconds there. And if we will have further time, I will show you actually performance tab of the Chrome. Most SEOs don't know how to use it properly, but there are many FPS check or FPS audits or layout threshold types of things. If you want, actually, you can read this. Let me just open it. I guess I can find it. It's somewhere. I guess I won't be able to find maybe this time layout threshold, or it doesn't have to be from me. If you check this concept, the word layout threshold, why I can't find it. In this area, I believe some sections explain that, but maybe not, maybe here. But basically, layout threshold means that you are painting an element or a web component on the web page, then you repaint it again. It means that the previous paint has been wasted. It means you wasted the bytes, you wasted the milliseconds, and also internet bandwidth. So anyway, let's continue. You already know, I believe, these metrics too. From 1 second to the 3 second, the probability of the bounce rate actually increases to 32 percentages. According to Amazon, in every 1 second, they actually lose nearly $1 billion. If they just upload or load a web page a little later than 1 second, they see it $1 billion. So in this case here, we actually try to create a kind of performance threshold. When we say the performance threshold or performance budget, it is something that you can also do with the Lighthouse performance budget. I hope I can find it this time so that you can see it here too. From web.dev, you can actually see these things. If you read this article, you will get actually what kinds of performance budgets you can create. If you create a performance budget, it means that you will be creating a resource size, resource count limits for yourself. You will be also creating a limit for the third-party resources too. It will be helping to you actually demonstrate what you should be focusing on, and it will help you for communicating with the developers as well. So according to the Google, actually your response time for server response time, it should be under 200 milliseconds. When it comes to the HTML web page size, actually it should be under the 1.2 megabytes. 1.2 megabyte, it's even high. I will suggest you to have something around actually 700 kilobytes. And one more thing is, of course, one more thing that we need to focus on is actually the DOM size. The HTML DOM size, it should be actually again lower than 1.2, let's say 1200 DOM element size. But I will suggest you to have something around at least at top, let's say 900. You don't need that much actual DOM elements, especially if you have a blog. You can even create a layout like with the 400 or 420 or 450 DOM elements. If you're able to actually create a simple website or a light website, you will be having actually very much higher rankings. This is something that I will be publishing in the future, which is about actually cost of retrieval. Imagine that you give this much information in your web page, but this is the cost of retrieval, or let's say cost of rendering, cost of fetching, cost of just downloading your web page. So in this case, actually 1 pixel or 1 byte is not 1 anymore, because if I just request that web page 50 times a year, it means that actually it is 50 byte now. And usually Google actually, they make maybe just 10,000 requests a day just for that image. So you need to multiply it with this type of numbers. That's why I am telling that you should be a little paranoid about the SEO. So basically we are playing with these kilobytes. And to be able to give these to be able to give a conscience to the developers, you have to use these type of methods, visualizations. It will be helping to you, and I have used these type of actual methodologies to explain them. I can tell that if you are a new generation SEO, please go to the historical articles and check the old version of the Google Search Console. It was giving very much more information. Inside the old version of the Google Search Console, you will get a tab, News tab. In the News tab, there is an error, which means HTML is too long. It doesn't exist anymore inside the Google Search Console, but I will suggest you to check it, because if your HTML web page is higher size from a certain level, the Google won't be able to actually use all of that section or all of that article. Still, they have something like that. There is a Googlebot size limit for fetching, requesting, or downloading the specific resources, but this is a little more actually, let's say, strict. So I will suggest you to check this HTML is too large warning. It still exists in the Bing Webmaster Tools, by the way. So basically, if you have a smaller HTML web page size, is always better. And to be able to do that, please be a little bit paranoid. Just open your source code and find anything that is not necessary anymore and clean them all. Get rid of from all of the actual unnecessary bytes. If I would ask you what is the size of this letter, most people wouldn't know it, but it's just 1 byte, which means that actually 8 byte at the same time. And this also, again, it's an 8 byte too. So I know that it might sound a little funny, but after a point, actually, these 8, and the other 8, they start to become like megabytes and the gigabytes, and it will be actually bringing your website is a little to the down. And this is, again, actually, this is from the, let's say, Bing Webmaster tool as a warning, and I guess I have taken this warning from the BKM Kitap project. And evaluated size of the HTML is estimated to over the 125 kilobyte and risks not being fully cached. Search engines may not fully acquire the content on a page if the page contains a lot of code. Extensive code can push the content down in the page source, making it harder for a search engine crawler to get to. A soft limit of the 125 kilobyte is used to guidance to ensure all content links are available in the page source to be cached by the crawler, etc. So in this case, actually, yes, at the beginning, the project was using .NET Core, or these type of things, and HTML minification for njazib.com was done in the first month of the project, but further down the line, we had to this work as we had some server incapabilities during the migration from .NET to the .NET Core. Even the simple things might take time if you don't have a proper backend structure, and it was one of the situations, but we handled it. So CSS and JavaScript refactoring. I will suggest you to check these concepts. CSS refactoring means that actually, maybe I have written it, maybe I didn't. I will suggest you to check also Smashing Magazine. It's a really good source. Basically, we are actually using the same CSS rules, same CSS classes, IDs with less lines. So we are telling the same thing with less lines. When it comes to the JavaScript refactoring, it doesn't exist. It is actually called JavaScript, let's say, tree shaking. Basically, you shake the tree for actually dropping the dead code. And if you are able to drop all these dead code, it means that actually web page, again, will be able to, let's say, render it in a faster way. And when it comes to that part, let me just check that. How does a browser create a web page? Basically, it doesn't create, but it was a name that I have found. This is one of the articles that I have written way much before, like 2 years ago. Just give it a read. You will get actually many things that you don't know about the browsers. You will get how the browsers actually would get things. For example, here, as you see, these are the bytes. First, they read these bytes. Then they turn them into the characters. Characters becomes the tokens. Tokens becomes nodes. Nodes become DOM. And this section here, it also explains what a rendering tree is. And if you have a proper HTML tree or DOM tree, then if you also have a CSS home, CSS object model in a proper way, the render tree will be able to create actually in a faster and better way. And the structure here explains it. You can also understand the difference between virtual DOM and DOM, because I even use shadow DOM inside this project. So again, this might be a little advanced technical SEO, but I have to explain these things to be able to transfer these things to you as well. And this was, by the way, I would also suggest you to read this article too, Advanced Concepts for Measuring the Page Speed in 2020. So I will tell you one thing. I was following Google developers from GitHub to understand what they focus on, so that I was trying to optimize my projects before they launch something. And these advanced concepts, these are core web vitals. They didn't call it core web vitals on that time. They were talking about largest control paint, etc. But I use these things as advanced concepts. So I can tell that actually even like 15 months ago, or 15 or maybe 1 year ago, before the core web vitals is announced, we were even optimizing for it. So this is about actually holistic SEO mindset. Again, you don't have to wait the search engine. If you continue to learn things from the mainstream SEO media, you are not learning something. You have to learn before others so that you can actually be the pioneer in the industry. And this is one of the examples for that too. And if you check these areas, you will get these concepts and how they can be used by the relevance point of view as well. I will suggest you to check these performance tab screenshots. It will be helping to you. Even there are some examples of actually JavaScript tree shaking in this area. I have created these images even with my hands to explain these concepts. This is here actually, it explains the largest contentful paint. And it explains actually why this is the largest contentful paint, not this, because there are multiple elements inside the same div. Even if this div is bigger, there are multiple elements inside it. So a single element one actually will be the LCP, but there are other rules here that actually you should remember. This is also one of the news websites that I managed before. And here, as you see, this is an example of the cumulative layout shift because of the injection of the ads and etc. Anyway, so if I come back to this area, so here actually this is an example of the actually CSS specificity. If I need to explain it to you, basically here actually we try to, for example, if I need, let me just explain this way. Try to use shorter CSS selectors. One of the biggest costs when it comes to using the CSS, it is coming from the long selectors. Always try to use shorter selectors. It is actually better. When it comes to using the really big numbers of the, let's say, CSS IDs or big numbers of classes, also try to avoid that too. And it can be done by creating a proper DOM tree. And this is called actually CSS specificity calculation. Based on how many IDs and how many classes that you are using, the specificity actually will be changing. And usually, of course, if you want to override some CSS rules, you need to come closer to the that specific DOM element in the, let's say, selector area. So basically, I can tell that as I say, the total size of the web page access was more than 0.5 MB, and then we actually decreased their bytes to do like 14 kilobytes or the 7 kilobytes. So from this number to this area, it is a really great increase, I can tell, and this is the year-over-year increase, which is doubling the traffic exactly. And you can even see the impression increase or other areas in these sections too. So when it comes to the caching, you should understand that actually the search engine crawlers, they are also caching your documents, but they are using aggressive caching. The aggressive cache means that even if you tell them that, do not cache this, they will be caching it. So they don't care about you while caching. But you can help them. For example, please do not use that much numeric values inside your document names, okay? So just give them simple things to cache. If you just have just today I was scrolling a website, there were more than 6,000 versioned JavaScript resources. So you can't go to a search engine and tell that, please, I have just 30 pages that you can use, but to be able to use these 30 pages, you have to crawl also these 6,000 versioned JS files. It doesn't worth it. So use a single file, update it, don't be lazy. And there are other things here like CSS chunking. I won't be explaining these details that much. You can check them later because I know that many people come these videos and go back. But basically, please use CSS chunking. Most of you use WordPress. It's really easy to do. Maybe one day I can create a WordPress course too or tutorial something. But if you go just inside the functions PHP, actually, you can tell that load these resources on this page type, load these resources on this page type. It's not even hard. You can also use some plugins, but you don't have to upload everything for every web page type or every web page resources. And these are the actually metric changes for the core web vitals, and also in this area actually we are talking about the size changes. But I can tell that actually once I have used these homepage CSS and subpage CSSs, the core web vitals maybe didn't exist on that time, but when we look at the change on the performance and also the crawl stats, it was really good. One advantage of the technical SEO is that you can see the effect faster. When it comes to the content optimization, the effect changes of the content, especially site-wide changes here I am talking about, it might take really good amount of time. But when it comes to the technical SEO changes, it might show its effect directly for indexation, crawling stats, and also especially for the impression increases too. So you can use these type of things for your advantage as well. When it comes to broadly, so we all know that actually it has been found by the Google instead of the GZIP. Google found it actually for compressing the web so that they can actually crawl better and make money. And it actually uses the LZ77 algorithm for the compression, and it compressed 36% better than the other formats, I can tell, and it is still actually state of art for the compression. Most people even don't know what these type of compressions are, but it is important to understand. The biggest cost for creating a web page is waiting. And what we wait? Response from the web server. And once you get the response, then you need to transfer the file. So before transfer the file, web server compresses it. They transfer the file, then you uncompress it. That's why when you look at the actual Google Chrome network tab, you will see two sizes: transferred resource size and web page size directly. So it is the uncompressed size. You should care about the uncompressed size mainly, but when it comes to web server compression, check the actually transfer size. It's more important there. So in this area, I explain actually why the server-side compression is important. And here, yes, website was using GZIP and we changed it. It wasn't easy because I need to make lots of researches on that area to help the developers because we were using a kind of Microsoft system and Microsoft technology there. Another thing here is that, of course, HTTP 1.1. Why it is important? When you use HTTP 1.1, I usually use Paint for these type of things. So let's say this is your web server, and let's say this is the web page, and let's say this is the user. So in this case, if user makes a request to your web server to actually render this page, and if you have, let's say, this amount of resources for per round trip, whenever the requester, or let's say the client, whenever they go to your web server, they can actually they are performing actually a round trip. It is called RTT, round trip time. Whenever they go and they come back for render the page, they can only take a certain portion of these page resources, a certain portion. When you use actually HTTP 2.1, it means that actually they can take bigger resource sizes. I can go even deeper there. I remember that actually the first 1466 bytes, which means 1.4 kilobyte of the HTML document, it is the first thing that can be taken during an TCP connection. That's why I was putting the most important SEO tags to the top, so that the search engine can actually see the SEO text directly, because I can tell that every crawl hit has a different purpose. I am not just talking about their discovery or refresh as they show in the Google Search Console. If you just check the first Google patent or the Google design even, you will find there fancy hits, plain hits. If you check what fancy and plain hits are, you will understand their point or obstacles. And of course, some of these things come from the experience, unique experience. And I always tell that experience is the most important information or knowledge type. So it is one of the hard things in SEO, because getting that kinds of experience is not easy, especially in 2022. So I'm glad that I have started this industry 7 years ago, because I have seen many things that the new generations won't be able to see. So you can check these images as well. I believe they will be helping to you. By the way, I even optimized the response headers because some of them are not necessary or were not necessary. So even these sizes I calculated, okay? Compare yourself to the based on competitor for every vertical. And in this area, we actually explain what resources have been taken. And I also have written TCP slow start concept. Maybe I can find it, TCP slow start. Holistic SEO. Let me just check. Yeah, what is TCP slow start? If you just check this article, it will be helping to you a lot for understanding actually how the web servers work. And I won't tell, but you can find a really critical difference between Firefox and the Google Chrome. With this concept, I will suggest you to understand this algorithm here too, by the way, this number as well, the segmenting these things, and the congestion window, etc. So these things will be helpful for you to understand or deep dive in the technical SEO further. So server push, what it is, no one talks about it, but I have used that. So imagine that when you, what did I say just before? The biggest obstacle in a web server is actually waiting. You wait. It is called stall time or stalling time. If you don't want to be stalled, just push the resource. So if there are some really critical sources for you, for every request, just push it, even if it is not necessary for that moment. So the purpose here is actually giving some important resources in a really faster way. Resource loading order and prioritization. So you can actually optimize basically three things for a web page when it comes to speed: resource count, as I say, resource size, and also resource loading order or prioritization. So I have used all of them. I won't be explaining the difference from preload to the DNS prefetch or to the preconnect here, but I can tell that the previous version of the preload was actually sub resource. The sub resource was a Chrome actually, let's say, behavior hint. And then they replaced it with a preload because of certain reasons. And you shouldn't use the preload a lot. If you preload everything, you are not preloading anything. So just use the most important thing there. I will suggest you to pay attention to this as section. Do not forget them. I won't be explaining everything as I say. One more thing is maybe you would like to check these articles too. Let's say loading CSS async. I believe I have written it before. Yeah, here. I will suggest you to check this article because you can actually upload or download or use CSS files even with as async. It's important. One more thing here is actually web font file optimization. Maybe I can find it. I don't know. Yeah, loading font. Yeah, this is also a really long article from me for technical SEO. I will suggest you to check this article too. I will put it into the description area. There are more than 20, I guess, ways of optimization here for the font files with all the details and the practical examples, even cleaning glyphs inside the font files. As I said, be paranoid. And I did it for this project as well. I cleaned teeny tiny corners of the glyphs so that I can just save some other bytes. Okay, cross-browser compatibility. Again, no one does these things lately, but just check actually all of your CSS files or JavaScript files for cross-browser compatibility. If it is not compatible for all these major areas, it means that your website is not servable for all of the resources or the users. And in this case, actually, some of the things that we were using, they are not servable for everyone. So we are using other ways for these type of areas. About the preload, here I explain many things, what it does, how it does, and how it caches to. I also would suggest you to read some other articles again from me. I guess it was very, let me just check. Because here I explain something called actually, HTTP cache hierarchy. If you understand the HTTP cache hierarchy, it will be really useful for you, but this is not the article that I mentioned actually. Maybe this is easy, yeah. In this article, you will be learning actually that hierarchy in a really good way, and that hierarchy section will be helping to you actually understand these areas, especially first browser tab, image cache, preload cache, service worker, HTTP cache, HTTP2 push cache, and the edge cache, and the origin server. So if you can understand these cache kinds and the hierarchy, you can actually leverage your server response times in an easier way. And here I explain why I have chosen some certain types of resources for caching there. And if you preload everything, by the way, you have to be careful about the bottleneck, CPU bottleneck of the browser. I did these type of tests as well for multiple browsers, multiple tools. So this is an example of the actually what preconnect does: DNS, TCP, and TLS. Basically, actually DNS resolution, we check where your website and resource is located. When it comes to TCP, it means that actually we just connect the server and start the communication, and TLS means that actually we are encrypting, or let's say we are using your HTTPS certificate to request the resource from the HTTPS server. And there are some other sections here, you can check them later as well. I can even talk about this polyfill IO, by the way, the one that I have used. These are the preconnects that I have used. Let me just explain you what is difference between preconnect and DNS. Let's say DNS prefetch, etc. The main difference between them is that preconnect also performs the TLS handshake, and it means it is faster actually. It does some other things, but I will suggest you to use it for only the most related ones or the necessary ones. So loading CSS files async, I already mentioned it, how we do it and why we do it. And these are some representative images for explaining why it is useful. I will suggest you to check these things too. And there is an example here, by the way, image placeholders. I also used image placeholders in this area to just increase the actually, let's say, first meaningful paint. It is not used anymore as a metric, but let's say first paint of the main element of the web page in an earlier way in this case. And I can also tell that I have some scripts that I have written before. Basically here I am actually disabling all of the JavaScript files in the website, and I am taking a screenshot to see which JS file, if I blocked it, how the content changes. And as you see here, actually swiper min.js in this area, when I block it, I don't see this cookie or something consent blah 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 prompt. So in this case, according to that, I actually async some of them or deferred some of them, and in this area it is for that. And this polyfill min.js too, I didn't remove it, even if I am actually increasing the request count here. But here actually the polyfill min.js, it is a little important, because if I am using a legacy browser, an old browser, this file here, it will be making or keeping the website usable at the same time. Right now it is empty because I am not using a legacy browser. If it is a legacy browser, it means that the rest of the section comes. So even I actually cleaned these unused bytes based on the dynamic serving. Okay, aggressive image optimization with src set and the avif extension. When I write these things, no one knows the avif, what avif was. Right now, by the way, there are some other really good image extensions. From time to time, I do this type of searches to understand which one is best. Avif right now still it gets more popular. It's better than WebP. Please use Avif. And here actually there are different types of pixelization algorithms, and there is something that we use, image capping. Image capping has been used by Medium and Twitter, by the way, to increase the actual page speed. And it's really good thing. Basically, image capping means that whenever you look at a quality image, actually there are some certain types of pixels that actually you can't see, you can't understand even if you see. And with some certain types of tools, without losing any quality, we just remove these pixels actually. So imagine that there are these type of pixels in an image. You don't see some sections, they're just there, but you don't know. So we are actually removing these type of things. And this is the owner of the, or founder or inventor of the Avif, by the way, Justin Schmitz. And this, like from 2020, I was telling that why these browsers don't support Avif, despite it is the best. And prepare for the future, he says. Yes, he is right, prepare for the future. And right now there are better than Avif, so learn them. So I am skipping many sections here because I need to be quick, or a little bit quicker. Here I talk about the exchangeable image file or EXIF data. And yes, I have used the EXIF data. Don't just look at the Google, use the EXIF data. They say that they don't use it, and they started to use it to understand actually who is the real owner of the image, whether the image is licensed or not. And we will have some screenshots for them too, but I will suggest you to actually just try to use this IPTC metadata and EXIF data to show the owner of the resource or the main resource as well. And yeah, this is also true. I didn't use different images for desktop or on the mobile to keep the, let's say, the HTML even shorter and cleaner. I just used 600 pixel. Of course, it's not good for the Google Discover, but I didn't have that much interest on there in this project, so I used a single simple image for both of the devices. And there are some other things here too, because since since these browsers, they don't use AVIF. I just use actually picture source search set. It means that actually if the browser can use AVIF, use AVIF. If you can't, use WebP. If you can't, use JPEG. So I have tried to optimize for everything in this area. And as you see, I'm using Semantic HTML here. Figure, inside the figure image. Inside that there is something else. This area says no image because it's the placeholder. Okay, so do I really need to talk about the alt tags or the image URLs here? Yeah, I didn't talk about them here because they are the 101s, but yeah, I optimize them too. And maybe I can even talk about alt tags for a long time because image search is really magical thing, but maybe another day. Intersection observer for image lazy loading. Intersection observer API, it is a thing that actually that you are using directly or indirectly for lazy loading. And I use vanilla JavaScript for it, by the way. I just miss the old days. I was coding way much more than today when I was just alone. Anyway, so I will suggest you to check this intersection observer API. It's really good thing. You can actually use less code for a really simple thing. And I can tell that if you just use the lazy attribute, many people use lazy attribute inside HTML for Chrome lazy load, but back then it wasn't work for the Firefox, so many people were actually using the lazy load for only Chrome, but they even didn't realize. So that's why I used actually intersection observer API for way much higher compatibility. And here you see that actually the compatibility from intersection observer API, it says 91 or let's say 92% of compatibility, but when it comes to this lazy loading, it's just 70% for the population. So just think every user, you will get better results in the SEO. So image placeholder for the better speed index and speed index and the largest contentful paint. Yes, I used actually these, and there are some tweets here, but I guess whoever actually put these things there, they didn't think about it, but there are some, yeah, this is actually coming from me because I remember, see here, this is a feature snippet from the website, but here there is a placeholder. Because Google doesn't render or use the JavaScript all the time, and I can tell that many times they were using actual image, then they replacing with the placeholder, then they're replacing it back. I call these things actually loop of indexing. In other words, they re-index the page in the same URL and based on the last scroll information. And once you use the placeholder image, it might cause you to actually lose the feature snippet. So that's why actually I have changed these things a little further too. But this is a good example of actually Google doesn't render the JavaScript all the time. So as much as possible, rely on the HTML, to be honest. And here image completed, then it brought it back to after a point they removed the image section already, but if they find actually a candidate that they can serve with image as well, they can replace you. And later they brought the specific, let's say, image back. So here I say actually loop of search engine decision trees as well. And there are some explanations here that I have given to you for preventing these type of situations. And there are some other cumulative layout shifts related tryings that I have done in this area with coding to just explain sometimes to the clients or to the developers. So when I just scroll down, as you see the lazy load, it creates a kind of shift. So any unexpected shift in your web page, it is actually a problem for the layout shift. And to be able to prevent such a situation, actually you can make the request based on intersection observer API. You can tell that if I am my image or my screen, if it is close to the image for let's say 100 pixel, you can make the request and it will actually prevent that. I used progressive webs. By the way, I have a presentation for it. I didn't upload it to my SlideShare, but I will be uploading it later. But I have done a speech in the SEO Mastery Summit for this with every detail. I will suggest you to check it if you are a member of the SEO Mastery Summit from Mass Singers. But here, yes, I use the PWA. I will suggest you also use it. The main point of the PWA is also, it is also structured data. If you're able to communicate to the search engine from multiple layers, from JSON LD, from your also HTML structure, from third-party sources, also from your manifest JSON file, to demonstrate your website name or your website logo or your website sections or your website purposes or the screenshots of the applications or etc. It means that actually you are giving the same signal over and over and over again, which will be increasing actually the search engine's trust or the confidence score for the thing that they are getting there. And then actually I made this specific website downloadable to the homepage. And then I use the service worker for better HTML payloads and make the web server actually relieved. And cleaning unused code from the third-party trackers. This was actually an initial screenshot. Basically, there are some tools to understand actually which third-party resources that they are using basically, and I cleaned most of them. And some of these text sections actually are for entire web, so it shows actually how these things are used entire web. And right now actually in Lighthouse there is already a built-in tree map creator for the JavaScript files, so I will suggest you to check it as well. And conflicting document type, the response headers and HTML files. This was an issue too, because in response headers many times the website was telling that this is an HTML or text, etc., but it wasn't. Or it was telling that this or your HTML documents chart set and the response header chart set, they should be matching. If they don't, the search engine or the browser or whatever renderer that they are using that on that moment, they can actually change some of the characters inside your document, which will affect your relevance to certain queries. So always give the actually correct signal to them. And HTML digestion and HTML based improvements. By the way, this is an interesting coincidence, but anyway, maybe I can explain it later. But HTML digestion is a concept from the search of the record. Basically, Google actually takes your HTML document and they actually normalize it, then they just digest it. The purpose there is actually removing some of the unnecessary, let's say, concepts, unnecessary tags, so that they can actually use your HTML files in a lighter way. This will be actually explained in the cost of retrieval book that I will be publishing. And here there are some quotes from the Gary Elias. And actually here we also explain what kinds of canonicalization issues might happen or happened during the project as well, like in the August and September and November. And it was a really big event, but no one remembers it right now. Sometimes I get surprised because of the memory of the people in the SEO field, because Google usually they make really big mistakes actually, and then they just go an event and they tell that our algorithms understand this, and then everyone starts to be their messengers. Anyway, so these canonicalization issues, they didn't actually affect the website that much, maybe at the beginning a little, but not later, because the HTML code errors, they didn't even exist in the website. The HTML was pretty simple and it was pretty clear everything, so it was really easy for search engine to actually digest everything there. When it comes to the semantic HTML, I used it. So header, now, aside, article, figure, footer, this type of a structure I have used. And right now, because of the intensity, sometimes I don't use these anymore because some clients, they don't have enough level of developers and I don't have enough time for coding for them. But I would suggest you to use these things as much as possible. And these are the actually semantic HTML tags that I have used. There are a few more actually, like time. I will suggest you to use the time tag for the dates on your page. So you wanted the practical things, and I am telling them between the paragraphs without that much detail. I hope it is helping to you. And I will suggest you to understand this concept, bad and mixed signals. Do not give mixed signals to the search engines with visual transition or heading levels or font sizes or colorizations and etc. So by the way, for the semantic HTML, the most important tag is actually this section. When it comes to decreasing the HTML DOM size, I have done many things on that area too, and I was able to decrease it. In this area, actually, I'm explaining the fewer font, less color. By the way, it's important too. Why do you use multiple colors for a website? Like 5 color, even the 5 is actually too much to be honest, but some people, they use like maybe even 24 different colors for entire website. It's not needed. You just need a color for this area, a color for this background, and a color for the text, and maybe a few colors for your footer and header. So the rest is just image colors, which is about image, not about CSS. So I used less colors and fewer fonts for entire website. I also found some expert authors to use. Yes, I was using actually author rank or author authority for many years. By the way, I will explain you something funny. You know that actually I have written one article about Google author rank, which is just here. And when I write this article to explain how Google Author Authority helps you for further rankings, further authority, one person from a website from somewhere, a mainstream SEO media, they told me that actually the patterns or the researches or the explanations that I am using, they are not that much related to the Google authors or somewhere. But now, if you just check here or somewhere, you will see that actually they are using the same patterns just for explaining and ranking here with really less really like a few sentences they are just writing. And I don't know why I am not able to open this page quickly, but if I can show you the research, you can also check the video. There is a video about it, by the way. This is the article here. Maybe I can also add the video here too. Sometimes I do some questionnaires like this to use them inside the articles. This is the difference from Twitter to LinkedIn, which was interesting. And I guess this video is somewhere here too. Google author rank, which is here. I will suggest you to read this, and to understand the author vectors, you can use it in a really good way. And my point here is that actually don't learn things from the mainstream SEO media. Even you won't be able to find, and no, probably you won't be able to find 70% of the things that I am just explaining in this video inside the mainstream SEO media. Font variables, you won't find there these things. So I won't be explaining everything about the font variables, but imagine that you are just uploading one font for everything. You just rewrite or redraw the specific existing font for changing it further. So I have used a single font file. There are some things here that you should know, like flush off unstyled element or text, or flush off, let's say, invisible text. And I have fixed these problems inside the website too with the help of the font display, so you can check it later too. And using browser side caching for static resources, we all know this already, I believe. So you can find this in the mainstream SEO media. And I have used the e tags, but there are some things that actually you should know this. There are different types of, let's say, e tag values. I even optimized this right section. If you check the e tag article that I have written, you can actually find different types of e tag response header values. And in this area, you can also understand which one is better, what this section add-in actually means. It will be easier for you to understand the difference between strong e tag and weak e tag. I won't explain everything as I say, you can check it later. And structured data usage. So this is one of the let's say, organizational structured data I have used. Most important part actually is here, which is again related to the author rank. So right now, actually, I am creating a kind of even website for the founder. So make your founder always a thought leader in the industry. I have actually used digital PR a lot. Sometimes I even actually changed the text for press releases to relate the founder with some certain types of things. I used also for the bkmkitab.com. I didn't even write it inside the case. Maybe I can explain it later. Website accessibility. I am using the accessibility a lot. I really give it importance. And again, there is an iframe here. I didn't, or maybe my interns, they didn't put there, or my employees, teammates, they didn't put these things here properly. I will handle it. I will be handling it later. But basically, I have actually optimized everything based on this with the ARIA labels, ARIA descript by, ARIA labeled by, or the role elements. And especially the area labeled by and the area described by, they are really helpful for actually being used together with the semantic HTML. You will realize that actually they are completing each other, and a screen reader can easily actually recognize which element is for which text. It will be really easy for search engine to understand too. So you can actually use web accessibility for communicating with the search engine in a better way. Website redesign process. Yeah, it also happened too. We changed the entire website design, and for that too, especially for homepage and blog pages, based on the some observations and again the patterns, but I won't be going to the website representation vectors here. I have actually, especially the above the fold area, I have made really good contributions there, even for actually the voting system in the website or the author box and mobile and desktop matches too. You should always check your mobile and desktop mismatch problems. Whatever you have in the desktop or mobile, they should match each other for existence and also for order or prominence of these things. You can't put something to the top in mobile and then take it to the bottom in desktop. They should be aligning. You should check this. As I say, I won't talk about patterns here. I won't talk about read time calculation too, but lately Google started to use quick read warnings, quick read labels inside the SERP. Then everyone started to talk about it again. So if you see something on the patent, accept it as a search essential, accept it as a search principle. Do not care about these 5 days changes or 6-7 days of updates or trends. Just do your thing for overall search principles as much as possible. Visual segmentation of the web pages based on the gaps and the text blocks. I won't talk about this area, but basically with these learnings, I have actually helped a lot for the design of the website and the HTML tree structure, so that everything can be connected to any other thing in a really good way. You can check this later. This is an important concept. So Chris Goward, I really like him, and the lift model. The lift model for web page layout design, it really explains many things for semantics too, for content marketing too, for user experience too. So it's just something really fundamental. Basically, the top of the page, middle of the page, and the bottom of the page, they are for different audiences and different search intents that are connected, and you should be able to actually use it properly. And this is actually an indexing and reindexing and reordering system design based on the Google's explanations from the Search of the Record podcast. So I will suggest you to check these as well. It is a good design, I can tell. So if they realize that the rankings on the web SERP is bad, they just retrigger all entire system again. So as I say, loop of the search decision trees or search engine decision trees. Yes, so I have done a lot of log analysis for the website, and I use Elasticsearch for it. So you can actually learn how to use Elasticsearch for log file analysis in the live web server. If you are able to do actual live web server log analysis, you will be able to understand very much better things. So you can actually do log analysis every day. If you watch Google Analytics data hour by hour and the log files hour by hour, you will be getting actually what search engine focusing on, what they try, what kinds of quality tests that they are doing, and you can actually give a reflex to them. I call this search engine communication. They test, they give the feedback, I take it, I retest, or I reorganize or reconfigure the content or the entire website. It is a continuous process, and it requires two big teams or a really good SEO. So usually you won't get that SEO, to be honest, but you can at least get multiple people that can focus on multiple other segments. It will be helping in this area a lot. So branding, digital PR, entitization, I call it, entitization of the njazib.com, and every mention matters. So as I say, every pixel, every letter, every millisecond, every user, and every mention. So in this section too, here actually this data, it comes from the Koray Pro. I also have written a review for it. You can check it. Dear Jason Barnard, he has a really great technology and mind and vision. I will suggest you to check him. And based on his data here, Wikipedia, LinkedIn, Crunchbase, Bloomberg, Fandom, I use these data for actually entitize the njazib.com and the founder of the website. And at the same time here, there are some other informations. Yes, the Knowledge Graph API. You can also check it. API, Python, Holistic SEO. I am writing all the keywords. So I will suggest you to check this article, because here I compare Spotify to the Netflix. I also explain the theoretical section of the knowledge graph, and I also explain how to use knowledge graph API together with the Python as well. So if you check these things, I believe it will be really useful for you to understand why you should entitize your brand or website. And here I am checking whether the njazib.com is actually an entity or not. Sorry, this is for Vavacars, which is another project that I managed. And I made it an entity by creating a Wikipedia page by myself. So you can do it. And here we have some search demands, as you see, trending search events. And then we see that njazib is a topic, which means it's an entity. Social media's effect on becoming an entity and entity-based SEO. I also used hashtags for electric or electricity or electric love, electric vehicle type of hashtags with the social media. Whenever I was actually be appearing on further and more for these hashtags, and whenever Google actually index these hashtags, I was becoming more relevant to these concepts. And then I was also ranking for all these video carousels or Facebook related things or other areas. And then actually it was helping me for giving further brand, let's say brand signals from third-party sources. If I search one of my competitors, Facebook, and their name, I see 50,000 results. If I search my name, Facebook, and njazib, I see actually 12 million results. So this is different between brands. They have real social media existence, and which is a quality and trust signal. The same goes for Instagram too. Same also goes for GPP as well. For local SEO, all these reviews come from the customers. I found some solutions for that. I activated the Google Posts area with even hashtags and other types of things. And by the way, I call this actual site migration route to show the past of the website. So by the way, to be able to perform a kind of design lift, you should understand the previous design of the website. You can't change everything directly. So some of the homepage elements, some of the header menu elements, they should be really similar to the previous version so that the search engine can actually readjust the system easier. Another thing is that I have protected the past of the website by actually recording or registering it to the Wayback Machine a lot, repeatedly and automatedly. I have even written some scripts for that. You can take them from my website. The purpose there is actually again showing the importance of the website to the Google and also the previous versions of the same website in a continuous way as well. And semantic SEO, should I talk about it? So you can check these things a little later. I won't be able to dive into this area, but just check this, okay? This is important. The SMIT algorithm, no one talks about it still, but it is an improvement for actually BERT. Google tells that they don't use it for now. At least they told it 1 year ago. But usually, as you know, I believe what they do rather than what they say. And this is my topical authority case study. You can check it. And this is important. You should get this different context within semantic topical graphs. So you see this, Google called this structure as dynamic content serving. So I write an entity here, but for the same entity, there are different dimensions, history, types, animals even, examples, news, videos. So in SEO, I like not giving things or not leaving things into the chance. So in my topical map, I covered all, even animals. I covered all of them, history, scientists, and everything. And then wherever Google looks, whenever they look somewhere, they see me. So I like that option there actually. Whenever they see me, it means I get more historical data, which means more trust. I am relevant to all the contexts. So they have to rank me. They don't have another chance. It's the strategy of the holistic SEO. Do everything perfect because Google won't have any other chance besides ranking you. It's the purpose there. Image search and visual content creation. I can tell that actually I have even a really good amount of patterns for just the image search. So, but it is a long topic. These patterns here, they are the fundamental image search patterns, but there are very much more. I won't dive into patterns as I say, but I will suggest you to check these things to understand how Google actually uses query features to match them to the actual landing page features, to the image features. Okay, here I use an example actually to explain how the image selections might change based on colorizations, based on objects, or based on faces. If there is a human face, it's not that just about actually color anymore, it's about the owner of the face. And yes, this is actually 12th November, I believe, and 2 days ago it was the anniversary of losing them Kemal Atatürk. And okay, I am getting sad and sad every year whenever I remember him. Anyway, so image sitemap. I used image sitemap. I used image structured data, and I used representative images for landing pages as well. I call these representative images actually as headline images. By the way, many times I told that actually I am writing for myself, for training myself. So that's why these articles are that much long and that much detailed, and even these concepts are there so that I can remember. I go back, I can remember what happened before when I do these things, in what way. And I have even many other things that I didn't publish even, but they are only for me because you wouldn't even dive in there. They are way much more complicated. And here, these are the examples of the image sitemap that I am using. There are two different XML namespace here, one image, one regular sitemap. And I have continued to use the loss mode and priority, priority section here especially, and sometimes change frag. The priority is not used actually by Google, but you can keep it there for Yandex and sometimes for Bing. Bing actually doesn't use it according to the Fabrice channel, but still you can keep there. And I use these images to actually represent the representative images. There is one more thing. I actually put all the header images, representative images, to a different subfolder, because there are some designs to which is called subsite retrieval. The URL of the images, they can actually, or location of the certain resources and some URL words, they can actually represent the role of the resource. So that's why I put all of the represented images to a different folder directly. You can read these sections or these sections a little. Even a slightest possibility is enough for me to do that. So about the image search, just search for a section, then check what appears there. Then you will be able to rank that area. This was the image that I am using. I always put a text here, a logo, and the object. So sometimes I also use these type of things too, or these type of labels in this area. Importance of clear communication and passion for the SEO on the customer side. So as I say, if you are an SEO, you have to behave like SEO vice president, and that's why you actually have to train them and you have to change their culture as much as possible. But lately, since I own an agency, I accepted that every brand is a personality and you can't like every personality. So sometimes you shouldn't do it as well. And as a confession, in the old days, before the Medic update, I was a black at SEO. Actually, everyone knows it already. And that's why actually I am using all these things, or that's why I'm really skeptical about Google too, because they were lying really good amount in the before. And this section I explain actually how I educated the client, and I still love all of them, by the way, even the old employees, they're really good people. And broad core algorithm update strategy for SEO. I actually have a really good Turkish webinar about this, but I didn't translate it to English any of these times. Basically here actually, the broad core algorithm update strategy is about actually putting a date in the calendar and telling that on this date there is a broad core algorithm update, even if there isn't, but you have to accept that there will be an update on that date, and you should start to optimize everything before let's say before that update, or before the 20 days of the update. Just be ready. If you can fix everything in that, let's say 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months, it means that there is a high chance that you will be gaining the broad core algorithm update. At most case studies that I have created, they are about broad core algorithm update, because I am using topical relevance, authority, gaps, consolidation, and also re-ranking and initial ranking concepts. All of them are actually about broad core algorithm updates. Every broad core algorithm update is actually refreshing the authority signals or the source prioritization all the time, and it is about that. And these are some of the analysis for the, let's say, ranking changes. This is for the December, and this is the competitor, they go down. This is also another competitor, they also go down too. I don't read their names all the time. At the beginning I just said first competitor, second competitor, because Brent was a little scared. And this is our change here. So as you see, by the way, the number is here, 30,000. Funny, really funny. Now this is a single page. Anyway, As I say, these are my last updates for these case studies. Most probably I will update this one more time too, if everything goes correctly for other areas, but my priority, as I say, changed lately. So these changes are coming for the competitors and this is for us. And then we have another one, June 2021 core update, and these are again the competitors, they go down. This is us, we go up. And then we have July 24 update on, okay, and the competitors, I say, let me just check the previous one. June, and yeah, there were two-step launch of the update, a bigger jump than before, These are the competitors, they continue to go down, and this is our changes. And finally we get over the actually 10,000 clicks from 700 here, I tell, but actually it's for a little protecting the client. I can tell it was actually 200, sometimes 300, etc. And then we have the November. In November we doubled it again, as you see here, 140, from 140 to 240 this time, nearly double, let's say. According to the Ahrefs, I guess according to the Ahrefs, it is like more than even triple or something. The number is here. Then the migration, because we actually performed a React.js and Next.js migration, and I am coming to this killer point now. During the migration, I know that most people won't watch this part, but it is the magic of the SEO. Only the people who follow everything wins. So basically, I have to explain one concept, but before that, let me tell this. Once we actually migrated to the Next.js or the React.js, we lost all of the technical SEO improvements, all of it. But we didn't lose the traffic. So at the beginning, we were updating everything, optimizing everything. It was helping us for ranking higher. But when we lose it, we didn't lose the rankings. And why do you think that it happens? So I can tell you that if you want to replace an authority, you have to do everything right. But if you are already an authority, you can do the mistakes. It is actually called search engine tolerance. So they will tolerate you because you are already an authority and they need you in their SERP because you explain everything in a perfect way and you already have proven yourself with the historical data. You earned the search engine trust. They trust you. So for these type of areas, you can have a bad technical SEO, or you might not have proper page rank, or you might not have an author bio, which is silly already, a silly argument, but I am giving that argument because it's popular. So if you are an authority, yes, you can do the mistakes. But if you want to just overthrow the authority, you have to do everything perfect, including technical SEO. And sometimes there is a section here. Imagine this question: how much historical data you need for dropping all of the technical SEO improvements? When the search engine will start to tolerate you? How many mounts, how many clicks, how many impressions? That section is important, and usually I call that section actually, let's say, sometimes I call it actually as search engine source prioritization requirements. I know that is a long name, but to be able to prioritize you as a source on the SERP, what kinds of proof I need? How many clicks or how many queries you rank or how long? So that's why inside the topical authority formula, I told you that you have to cover everything. You have to cover them deeper than your competitor, more comprehensively, but also for a longer time. But how long? So if you are able to calculate it, it's a really real mastery for the SEO. So this section is important because even if we lose everything, we didn't lose the traffic. And there are really important things here because I wanted to use the virtual DOM, but we couldn't do it. It is also one of the issues. If you're a search engine optimization expert or consultant, you will realize that employees of the client change too, and you have to retrain them. So it was the hard for me because I already owned an agency then, and I couldn't train every employee from the zero. So that's why actually some of these improvements, they didn't come back. You realize the virtual DOM and let's say regular DOM, traditional DOM differences in this area. Basically here, it's like liquid flow. It's really easy to transfer it from a page to page, but here it's not like that. We can explain them later too. And here during the migration, by the way, technology migration, by the way, a couple of things happened there and we started to lose some traffics, which is also a little bit here too. It was a little warning area. And one more thing here is that there is also a hosting migration too. This is not a domain migration, but if you just change your hosting by saying host, let's say W version and etc., we had to use W version now because we changed also our hosting. So it means that all of the URLs will be re-indexed. So I was able to manage it in a really proper way, but at the same time I can tell you that, as you said, this is the this is the with W version, this is the without W version. And you see, even after the migration for a really long time, still it continues to take the impressions. Always check them. And if you want to actually perform these type of changes in a faster way, try to do these type of things around a trending event, or use a little bit of digital PR or the popularity so that the search engine can be sure and be sure that you are changing all of the internal links. But even if you do that, 25% of the website actually, still it was taking traffic from the without WW version with a redirection. So to be able to convince the search engine in this area, imagine that you already transferred the host and the search engine continues to keep these old URLs. It happens if that URL is really authoritative. For a really long time, if that URL was really quality and useful, search engine continues to keep it. And at the same time, there are some other issues there as well, because changing design, changing crawl pattern, because from Next.js to something else, or from, let's say, because of the video length, again, I am a little tired, sorry. From .NET to something else, once we actually change things, it means that Google also needs to change its crawling pattern, and it will take a longer time. But eventually, it happened. So happy for that. And you can see the time here. It nearly has taken like actually 2 months, from 9th or 9th month to the 11th month. It continued like that for 2 months nearly. And also you should understand why 75% of the URLs are transferred directly, but the rest is not. It's also important. And here we have all the index URLs like without the W version, and some of them are also here too. You can also check them. And also there are other things here like this static ngIs. I didn't explain everything, as I say. We also have started to use a CDN on our subdomain and etc. Here you will be seeing that actually image search related things, creator and to copyright. Use these type of things for being an authority. It is about EXIF data, as I said before too. And there are some other things here for the image search. New content sprints I have created, and URL count restriction. Yes, I brought this because since I have lots of technical SEO improvements, I didn't want to create new pages there. I wanted to actually make the existing ones more authoritative, because whenever you create a new page, you are actually diluting the ranking signals. If you check this article, ranking signal dilution, I know that I have done a typo there, but Google can get what I mean. If you check this case study, you will get actually what I mean in this area for the ranking signal delusion or ranking signal consolidation, which is another case study that I have published before with the Jet Octopus. And Jet Octopus has a really lovely owner. I will suggest you to check. They are friendly people. And here, this is the competitor again. They go down. Competitor, they go down. This is also competitor, by the way. They go like 0. This is competitor again, 0. And then we come to this area. This area, we are on that sections, and you can see these May core update section too, as it comes back. And this is again another competitor, by the way. They continue a little more stable, I can tell, but they are not taking that much traffic anymore. And some others are also around. Some of these competitors, they are not direct competitor, by the way. We are aggregator. This is provider. So they're actually our client. So we are like a little bit ally. We are a little bit like competitor, but they actually again continue to lose a little bit more traffic. In these sections too, by the way, I have some broad core algorithm update analysis and conclusions. If you want to check it further, by the way, I will suggest you to actually check the latest article or the case study article that I have published already. Let me go to the bottom. It will be easier to show you. Here, I didn't put an image yet. And yes, I don't optimize my website on purpose. Most of it for actually testing. And if you can check this specific article for the entity SEO, it will be useful for you to check. But there is something with this section. But basically, if you check this entity-oriented search engine case study section. If I can find here, actually the article is directly here, you can check it. At the bottom area you will be finding actually a broker algorithm update analysis. I am using basically Google tests to understand what Google is actually doing there. And sorry for that email part. Okay, so these are for the May update, and then actually there are some other improvements there too. September update also affected the website in a positive way, and we came to this area in a better way than before. And here also, according to my update, there is a switch between aggregators and providers, and this is that comparison. That's why some of them come back slightly back. By the way, maybe one day I can create a video for the PageRank secretly, but this website here, actually, they have to support us in another way, because when you are able to get some indirect links, if you're able to understand the link graphs, you can actually choose some pinpoints for your digital PR campaigns. And here we have some other metrics too, and topical consolidation for the new sectors and initial ranking. As I say, I will be explaining this part later, but this is the initial section of the insurance sector. I have shown the existing version already. This is the Google Search Console screenshot for that. This is the credit. Right now it is double of this. You already know that. If I show it back in this area, this is the insurance right now, and this is the credit right now. So here 90,000. And when I go back to the specific article, it is like 44, and this is just October, by the way, like last month. So in 1 month it doubled itself. And these are the new latest metrics. I have put some of the videos in this area and to be able to help you to understand it. And these are the updated graphics from the SEMrush. So again, if I show you these areas, I will be publishing and how to expand a topical map by protecting the source authority, by protecting the ranking signal consolidations, and also source authority and identity together with that. So it is a little different than creating a topical map for a brand new domain. If it is an existing domain, it will be a little different than before. So I have tried to explain many different things in this case study. I didn't talk about patterns that much. I hope you enjoy it, because I know that you also like the theoretical section a lot, and I love my audience, but there are different levels of people. A beginner finds my videos hard, and then an advanced person, they actually love my videos, because in mainstream SEO media we can find these things. There is not that much nerdy people anymore. And when we look at the situation, when I actually satisfy the beginners, the advanced level gets angry. When I satisfy the advanced level, then the beginners get angry. So I'm trying to balance these things with this type of videos. I hope it helps to you. And as I say, subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will be more active in this area. We will talk a lot, and I will be answering your questions in my YouTube channel too. If you want to ask me an SEO question, instead of sending these questions as DMs, just send me a comment in anywhere in the YouTube channel. I will be answering it. Come to the live chats, I will be answering them again. And I'm happy to see you here, because we are finishing the 90 minutes. I'm a little tired after the, let's say, 1 hour. It's hard to talk all the time. You see the hour here. I will need to sleep, and there are many other things that I need to do. Probably I have like 6 to 8 emails. Anyway, love you all, and see you later.